Welcome to the Verdict Sports Show. I'm your host, Jacob Verda. Today we have the last of the LSU Pro Day highlights. We have the defensive footage. We have all the defensive linemen. We have the linebacker, OMAR SPEIGHTS, and we got the DB, Andre Sam. I think everybody had a pretty good day. Of course, you had some guys in here with some things to prove, especially when the defense, is talked about the way they were over the past few months. I think the talent was not the problem in this room. I mean, this room is filled with guys that were not only performing well and not only dealt an unfortunate, hand of uncontrollables. I think they handled it. They handled the adversity. They're going to better themselves from it. They're going to learn from it. They're going to use it as motivation more than likely. I think these guys are not in a situation where the entire NFL is going to shun them. One bad year in college football isn't going to blemish the other years you've had. I mean, look at guys like Mason Smith and Mekhi Wingo. They were all SEC freshmen, put on pretty good pro days, pretty good measurables. Let's talk about Mason here. He's the longest defensive lineman you have in this draft class. When you pair that size with speed, with the IQ, with just overall personality, it's a good fit for your team. Same thing with Mekhi Wingo. He's a little bit of a smaller guy, but he hasn't let that stop him yet. His entire season at LSU this past year I thought was phenomenal. Of course, he got to wear the number 18 jersey. But let's dial it back a year before that when Mason Smith went down. Mekhi Wingo stepped up, played a tremendous role in that defense in the absence of Mason. And I think that was a big catalyst for Mekhi's growth. Now, talking more about Mason, let's look at their numbers in the 3-cone and the 20 shuttle. Mason had a 7.68 in the 3-cone. Mekhi had a 7.33. In the 20 shuttle, Mason had a 4.64. Mekhi had a 4.45. Now, these numbers are very close. Keep in mind, Mason's 308 pounds according to the Pro Day measurement, 6'5". Mekhi's 6'2", 286. Mekhi had a great day. Mason had a great day. Not taken away from either. Just think about that, though. The size and speed of Mason Smith, compare those numbers to Mekhi Wingo. This is an interesting choice here. Both are very, very, very talented D linemen, but I feel like, going into the Pro Day, going into the Combine, a lot of scouts, a lot of people might have thought Mekhi Wingo was the best defensive lineman at LSU. Leaving the Pro Day, leaving the Combine, seeing the measurables, seeing the size, seeing the speed, I think eliminating the questions about, the movement or what have you regarding Mason, I think you potentially have a toss-up between who the better one is. You have just as equal opportunity if you're Mason, if you're Mekhi, going forward in the NFL. I think the development in the program that they go to is going to be the biggest factor. Both are great talents, both have great skill sets, and both still have a lot left in that tank. I don't think anybody was expecting, this defensive line situation to occur at the coaching spot. They didn't have that much attention. Last couple of years, it's been a multitude of coaches there. So I think them getting a mainstay coach, them getting a lot more professional guidance, a lot more help, especially at the NFL level where it gets really technical, really physical in the trenches, I think that's going to do wonders for their game. They needed this type of attention to detail. They needed, this type of not necessarily one-on-one, but just like that defensive line coach presence. And I think that they lacked that for the greater part of a season. And it's not necessarily showing in their individual performances throughout the year, but as a collective group, when the defensive line isn't getting to the quarterback throughout the course of a season, that's going to kind of be where, you start to realize, okay, maybe it's because of the coaching absence. Maybe it's because of a schematic thing. Like, I just don't think that you're going to completely blame it on the talent and then watch them perform at the Pro Day and keep that same narrative. Because at the Pro Day, at the Combine, they perform great. But moving forward, it's going to be pretty exciting to see where these guys go in the draft. As of right now, you could look up some mock drafts, but they're so all over the place, and it's kind of hard to get mock drafts for later rounds. You got guys like Mekhi Wingo, who's rumored to be anywhere from a, potential second to third round pick to even a, later fourth round pick. But then you see someone like Mason Smith be rumored to be around the third round range. If you look at a variety of draft grades, you'll see Mekhi and Mason kind of outside the top 5 D lines in this class. with that being said, you're going to see guys like Jordan Jefferson right around there as well. Which, shout out to him. He ran his 40 at this pro day, 5.1 seconds, as you saw in the beginning of the video. And he didn't participate in 3-cone. He didn't participate in the shuttle, but I think he's another one of those interesting concepts with the development and the potential that they could hold. It's going to be not necessarily all dependent on what they did on the combine. They're also going to obviously have tests. They're going to have meetings. They're going to have a lot of other things with teams. They're going to help determine this, because at the end of the day, everybody understands what happened. Everybody's not blind to the fact that LSU had a rough year defensively, but also, everybody's not blind to the fact that they were playing tough teams, that they were playing through adversity, that they were playing through, some starters being injured, including the man right here, Mekhi Wingo, playing through injury, Mason Smith playing after a major injury, after an ACL tear, missing a year of football with a huge injury like that. You're not exactly going to just hit the ground running the next year. And I feel like the criticism and all the negative things that he heard all year about it was just unnecessary. It was just kind of interesting that, that was the perspective around it. Instead of it being more like of a supportive tone, instead of it being more like, well, give him some time to be able to grow, look at the situation he's in with the coaches. I mean, I feel like every single defensive player is going to have a good future. I mean, look at Andre Sam. He turned some heads in the pro day, if you ask me. I feel like, he was another one of those guys that was a little bit, smaller, a little bit unknown before he came to LSU. But, he provided a very, very big role in a room that had a lot of uncertainty. The DB room, they transfer in 4 guys, only 3 of them play. So someone like Andre Sam has to step up, has to have a big game here or there, has to have a big play here or there, and he did, and he answered. And I think he'll be, one of those late-round picks. You see some mock drafts saying he could potentially go undrafted, but I don't see anybody with a 5th, 6th, 7th round pick that needs a DB passing on somebody like that, especially from a university like LSU. But of course now, you do have like that feeling where it's like, well, LSU's not the DBU that it used to be. But I feel like we keep circling back to just the situation. It wasn't a 100% perfectly normal situation. I feel like it's just got to be called to attention. But looking at these drills, at Mekhi, Ovi, Jordan, Mason running through these bags, it's pretty interesting. I thought that this drill, it's really hard. It sneaks up on you because you can trip up on the pads. You got to be real fluid with your movement and how you're balanced on your footwork. And when you're a bigger guy, longer guy, it's a lot more difficult. So I think attention to detail is very important here. But everybody executed it. It looked very fluid. Bigger guys are kind of getting to be more and more faster, as you see the next level. You see the Aaron Donalds, you see the Kayvon Thibodeaux, you see the Nick Bosa's. I mean, I can go on and on and on. Max Crosby's. You got a lot of bigger defensive ends, defensive lines, getting active, getting the speed down, as well as being that big, tall, unguardable figure. There's a lot of value in size. There's a lot of value in the speed. And there's a lot of value in, taking a pick, like a 3rd or 4th rounder, with one of these guys, taking a diamond in the rough, taking somebody that you could develop and help reach that potential that they might not have been able to hit in college. I feel like it's not out the realm of possibility to see every single one of these guys drafted on the defensive side. Now, more than likely you're going to see Mekhi Wingo and Mason Smith be the first ones taken off the board. I'd imagine they'd go around the 3rd round. I'm hoping they get a good situation, a good defense. You've seen a variety of teams over there talking to them. You have the Chiefs over there. The Saints were over there. You got a lot of teams that could potentially be in need for defensive presence, especially at the linebacker position. If we're talking about OMAR SPEIGHTS and his performance, the Chiefs lose Willie Gay. The Saints were even working out with OMAR as well, and the Saints are the ones who added Willie Gay. So there's a lot of teams that were paying attention to this pro day, not just for the offensive side, not just for Jaden Daniels, Malik Neighbors, Brian Thomas Jr. These guys brought in some attention in their own. And I keep saying over and over that calls attention to their talent. That calls attention to the fact that these guys are still really great players that are going to benefit an NFL team, and I'm excited to watch him play on Sundays. Well, keep watching this footage. Enjoy the rest of it. I'm going to link the entirety of our Pro Day collection at the end of this video. This has been the Verda Sports Show. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for watching the recent coverage. Hit that subscribe button on the way out. Also, hit the notification bell so you get a notification every time we upload so you don't miss any LSU coverage. Have a good one.